Hello, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this series is called I Want to Be a Better Coach. If you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, I'm really glad to see you're back. It makes me happy. This series is based on the fact that I've been a coach for 25 years specifically, and before that, I was a spiritual guide, trained as a spiritual guide. And before that, I was trained as a therapist, working in recovery and addictions and family therapy. So, all of that put together, I wanted to provide a space where people could ask questions or I could talk about things that I think make people a better coach. And it generally has to do with who you are inside yourself. And that you might be a coach as a parent, you might be a coach as a teacher, you might be a coach as a hairdresser or a bartender. A lot of people have different um, jobs and they're all sitting and being with people, sitting or standing with people, being a presence and a connection for them in a way and listening that really is valuable for people. So what I want to do is give people opportunities to go, wait, I could do this a little bit different. How could I do that? How can I think about this differently? So that's my job. And if you have questions, there's a form in the description area below that says, hey, I have a question, or you can put that in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer that or focus an episode on that specific thing that you're wanting to know about. So today, this week, so it's only Wednesday, but twice, I think it was yesterday, twice, people asked me about the ego. I said, what am I supposed to do with what's this ego thing? And and what am I supposed to do with it? And so it's kind of interesting. It came up for two different people. So here's my answer about that. So, I was trained in psychotherapy and marriage and family therapy, all kinds of things. My my foundation is I don't use the word ego very often because I think it misrepresents an element of us that's really, really important and we have cultivated a relationship with, and it's doing something for us, and we just have to honor and respect that and shift that relationship. So our ego, in a sense, is the culmination of a lot of past life, this life, parallel lives, ancestral patterns, all kinds of things. This ego's job is to keep us safe. This ego's job is to feel safe. I don't know about keep us safe, but our ego has a sense of, hey, I know how to keep us safe, and that's my job. And so over lifetimes, over thousands of lifetimes, over this lifetime, we've cultivated a relationship with this aspect of us that makes choices based on what feels safe, what feels secure, what feels stable for it. And it's kind of like our database, our computer. And when we're young, we have a relationship with this part that says, do this, don't do that. We should do this, we shouldn't do that. You should be like this, you shouldn't be like that. Let's do this, let's not do this. So, and we listen almost automatically, reactively to this part of us, which quite often keeps us sane and it keeps us feeling safe because we have this part that says, hey, I know how to take care of you. And I think that even as a child, we've cultivated this as part of our database. I know how to take care of us. Listen to me. And I think quite often, good therapists, I'm talking about psychotherapy and psychology, good therapists help us develop a healthy ego, a part that says, it's strong, and I'm capable. And I think that's really important. We need that part of us that feels strong and capable when another part of us says, I don't know how, I can't do this, I'm scared, I don't have any sense of how to do anything. And our ego says, well, follow me. And we need that until we get to a point where we go, wait a second, my ego keeps telling me to do things, but I'm feeling this stirring, I'm feeling this something that doesn't feel like that's the right way to go anymore. And this is when we start to develop and recognize this part of ourselves that is, in a sense, our essential nature. A lot of times our fear, our ego is what we're calling ego, is fear-based. So let me reframe how I see ego. Just quickly, I created this model called domains of awareness. And the way it looks like a big bullseye, but big target, if you will. And the furthest out ring is our universal source of all that is. So I see ourselves as a spiritual being. And out here in this universal place, this oneness, source of all that is, we're part of oneness. We have an essence of being. That essence is unique in some ways. In other ways, it's love, creativity, compassion, joyfulness, expanded oneness, all those kinds of big words that we feel sometimes. But we are this universal source of all that is, from my perspective. Now we decide to come into a human experience because we want to have the human qualities. We want to experience what is it like to be a human being. And some of those, and that's states of being. I focus on the states of being human. Those states of being include fun, playful, connection, purposeful, states of being hungry, satiated, the states of being in love, all kinds of states of being that we consider positive. It also includes states of being that include like fear and lack and inadequacy, incompetence, uncertainty, insanity, terror, trauma, stuff we don't want to feel. So in our states of being, we have states of being we don't want to experience, and there's states of being we do. So the next ring, so we've got universal source of all that is, it decided to come and have a human experience. Here's these states of being that feel positive and happy, and here's these states of being that feel scary and uncertain and creates that. So then we have another ring in this ring of domains, and I call that one the domain of personal power. So that's like our computer, if you will. And most of our computers run automatically without our thinking about it. It just automatically runs. Like they say, 95% of our thinking is automatic. We don't even know what we're thinking. And 80% of those thoughts are negative in nature. I think that's really important to know, that a lot of our database and our computer running, we're not even listening to. It's just going in the background. And only 5% of that gives us a place of personal choice. So that's the domain of personal power, which I think people would consider to be the ego. But it's all kinds of elements that feed into how we choose to choose what we choose, which is something I think is really important to look at as a coach. How do you choose what you choose? How do your clients choose to choose what they choose? So the last ring is what I call the domain of circumstance, which is everything that shows up in one's life, all the circumstances, is a culmination of this spiritual being having this human experience and this personal power deciding what to choose. That, in a sense, is what people call ego. And what we're left with are all the consequences and circumstances of our life. So that to me is where what I consider, or what people would call the ego, I call this personal power, domain of personal power. And the relationship we have with this place of personal power only happens, I mean, in a sense, it's like, sometimes we consider it to be like a parent or a super parent or something, where we don't question its authority. We're just going along and saying, hey, you're hungry, go eat. Hey, you want a drink, go have a drink. Hey, you want a game, go game. Hey, you want a social. It's that reactive, spontaneous. It might say, hey, you should worry because you're going to be late for work, or you should worry, or you should feel guilty because all of these things, these elements of life that are just so spontaneous and reactive, and we think it's just part of who we are. But it's part of that database that we don't question. And they're like, wait a minute, why do I feel guilty about that? Why am I feeling shame about that? Why do I feel disappointment? Like, we don't question reality. We don't question that. We just go, well, it's just who I am. It's just what I do. But in the, for me, in the field of coaching, or the field of listening, the field of good parenting, the field, we begin to ask people questions like, what's that about for you? Where does that come from? Is that what you want to choose? Is that what you want? And creates awareness. People go, wait, you mean that's not normal, or that's not automatic? I have a choice here? And so in this moment where people go, wait, I have a choice, we begin to cultivate awareness that, oh, I've been paying attention and reactively saying yes to this personal power piece, but I can now question that. I have enough personal authority. I'm growing with our clients, but also as coaches, as individuals, people that we are coaches. We begin to cultivate personal authority so that we can trust ourselves to say to this ego-y thing that we call the ego, hey, wait, I don't actually agree with you, or you're not actually telling me anything that's helpful. You're just telling me no, or you're telling me I'm not good, or you shame me, or you're not helping. And so I'm going to listen to someone or something that can actually support me, as opposed to just tell me I'm wrong and continue to scare me. So we begin to grow this personal authority so that we can question ourselves. We think we're questioning other people, which is really important, but first we got to question our own reality. It's like, wait, I've been listening to this part of me forever. And what's that gotten me? And can I choose differently? Can I choose to choose differently? And this is where we start to grow a collaborative, interdependent relationship with this aspect, this personal power that can choose to choose with us and for us. Forever, we've, in a sense, I've been listening. I guess there's a book out now called Defended. No, what's it called? Let me scrap that. There's a book out there that's talking about, do we have willpower? Do we really have free will? And there's so many ways that we don't have free will. The food that we eat quite often influences the way we think and the way we make choices. Our political systems, our educational systems, our human environments, our emotional families, all of that influence how we choose to choose. And so we can cultivate, for me, I believe, and that's my job as a coach, we can cultivate the will to choose differently. I choose to choose differently. And it's beginning that relationship where we're actually adulting ourselves. We're acting from a mature perspective to question, what's this part of me saying? What was it trained to do? I trained that part of me to make me feel safe. I wanted to feel safe. And if I wasn't safe, I wanted it to tell me how I could feel safe. Well, now it's not working so well for that purpose. But it's not just about that. It is a decision maker, a choice maker that I'm working with, that all of us are working with. So when we think about the ego, we're minimizing the capacity for its sacredness, its expanded potentiality, just like any computer. You know, a lot of people have fears and challenges about AI. AI is just this massive amount of information. But when we go, it's this, now we give it a sort of an egoic, we attach a perception to it. And now it's limited in it's how we perceive it and what we do with it. But if we go, this ego is this huge, massive amount of data, and we've only been presented with a certain amount of data based on algorithms, if you will, then we go, wait, I want to change that algorithm. I want to change that relationship. And we become more collaborative and be able to be more authoritative with our own sense of self-trust, self-respect, and we have this relationship with this part of us, but it's not the end all and be all of our existence. So a client of mine was talking about her inner child, and someone said, "Oh, you need to kill your ego because that's in the way." And it's like, wait, wow. We can't we first of all, we can't kill our ego, and second of all, what's the point in doing that, as opposed to when we're growing ourselves up and we're maturing ourselves. This is really important as coaches because we're wanting our clients to mature themselves into self-empowered choice making. Well, that's true for this part of us that's we've given so much power to. It's the one that's been telling us what to do because we've chosen to listen to it. And now we're saying, wait, I'm growing myself up. I'm individuating. It's a marriage and family therapy term. We're individuating from what was, and we're creating our own sense of truth, our own sense of value, our own sense of respect and honor. This is my truth. And my ego self isn't going to like that. Just like any parent, when their child begins to form their own opinions or their own ways of being in the world that aren't in alignment or resonate with that parent, there's some conflict. And that's not a bad thing. It's just like, wow, I don't like that you're going to start listening to something else or someone else. You're not going to do it the way I told you you should do it. It's like, no, I'm growing myself up. I'm making choices and I'm going to learn from my choices. But that ego part is kind of like that parent we've been listening to forever. And now we're going, yeah, no, I have a different way of seeing this. I have a different way of expressing myself, and it's not in alignment with what you're saying. And that's okay. And some egos are going to be very persistent. So again, I'm calling it a ego, but those aspects of ourselves that we entrained, maybe as children or maybe when we didn't know so much, but we entrained them, and we're now changing the relationship. We're shifting, which is a healthy thing to go, wait, and this relationship with this part of ourselves is no different than if we're married or our children. At some point, we have our own ways of being that we need to, express and expand. And we go, I'm not that anymore. And I'm not the one that was afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you anymore. I want to know who I am. So this is really, really important for us as coaches and also as any individual who is in service to the well-being of other people, is to listen, and not from you're wrong and you're bad and I have to kill you. We have a lot of that going on in the world, right? You're wrong, you're bad, I have to kill you. Is it working? Yeah, no, it's not working. So it doesn't work in the big world. It doesn't work in our relationships. It doesn't work within ourselves that we violate or say you're worthless and I don't need you anymore and so I'm going to kill you off. It doesn't work. It doesn't work to create harmony and peace and serenity. It doesn't work to have this dissonance within us and try to have healthy relationships outside ourselves. It doesn't work. So when my client said to me, hey, how do I see this? I said, see this ego as this aspect of you that was attempting to create a safe feeling for you. Its job was to help keep you feeling safe in perhaps the most insane, ridiculous situations. I've heard people who lived in very bad areas and cities who said, "Hey, I'm gonna die by the time I'm 21, so I'm gonna go out shooting. I'm gonna drug and I'm gonna sell drugs. I'm just gonna be the meanest badass person because I'm gonna die anyway." Like, that's an ego element. That's just, we're saying ego again. I'm using it as the short term, but there's a part of us that says, "Hey, this is pointless and I'm powerless. This is what I'm going to do." But then circumstances shifted, they didn't die, and they go, wait, I got to think about this differently. And that part that says, wait a second, we've always done it this way, and you go, I get that, and we're doing it different. I'm going to start to think differently. I'm going to start to do it different. This, in a sense, is addictive patterning, addictive behaviors, addictive, just unconscious ways of being. And we go, wait a second, I'm feeling it that this isn't in alignment with me anymore. I'm feeling something different, and I need to pay attention to that. We do this as coaches. I do this all the time for myself when I'm in a sense of dissonance, like there's something not right here, and I got to go, well, here's this part that keeps telling me this. It's like, yeah, but it's not working. There's something that's growing. There's something that's moving, expanding, that this is growing. Even the challenge helps grow me. Even with this ego pointing, or this part of me that's like, you don't want to be afraid. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that. So listen to me. It's like, yeah, I don't want to live that way anymore. I don't want to live from, I'm avoiding fear. I want to live from growing my essence, growing and my divine expression, not from fear. I want to know the positive elements, the joy, the playful, the connected, creative aspects of my humanness. Not because I'm afraid, but because I want to know this part. Just want to know it. I want you to know it. And so this place where we can't kill the ego. It's just, you can't. It's part of who we are. It's part of source. It's part of existence. It's part of consciousness. So, do I need to kill the ego? Nope. What's the ego's job? The ego's job is, in a sense, that aspect of us, the domain of personal power. It's attempting to manage and grow this place of no fear. But it, in a sense, emanates fear as a way of saying, don't go there, don't go there. But it's got a job that's trying to create a sense of safety. And what's my relationship supposed to be with my ego? It's supposed to be collaborative. I can use my domain of personal power not as a them, it and me, it versus me, but it's an usness. Just like a marriage or a family, a healthy family, we're an usness. I had a conversation with a coworker yesterday, and it was an incredible conversation because it allowed for an usness to come into the conversation from the you, it, me versus you, us versus them, all of that, to a collaborative usness. And how do we operate from this usness? And that's what I want to grow in myself with this personal power, this domain of personal power. The truth of, do I need to be afraid? 99% of the time, I don't need to be afraid. Have I been trained to be afraid? Yes. Have I been trained to react? Yes. Do I want to live that way? No. Okay. Now I got to be in a collaborative relationship. How to hold the space of no fear at the same time, being with all the trainings and all the experiences that I've had this lifetime, past lifetimes, that influences this patterning, this addictive patterning to listening to this part of myself. I have a lot of words here. I hope they're landing. I hope they make sense. So my relationship is to grow my capacity to own my power in relation to all this database that I've accumulated over lifetimes, and go, who am I? And here's this data. Am I this data? I have to have that conversation, and a big conversation. That's why I do the work I do, is to allow people and support people to have these conversations with themselves, so they get to know themselves and be able to choose what they choose without it being reactive, but being like, oh, I totally get it. And that clarity of, oh, I get it. Here's this part of me I've given a lot of power to, and it wants me to keep listening to that part. And it's like, again, you can look at it biologically, the neural pathways that have been trained, that's what you have been there for at least this lifetime, and the new neural pathways that we have to grow to make new belief systems, new ways of thinking, new ways of training ourselves to to be in joy instead of fear. I laugh because I'm in this process myself. It's not like I'm talking to you as if pontificating. It's like, I know this place. It's challenging to go, is this that part of me that I trained and I gave all this power to, and now I'm taking that power back? I watch people do this in relationships. They've given a lot of power to a partner. Now they got to take it back. And they're going, yeah, it's really uncomfortable. It's like, yes, it is. And it's just part and parcel of us growing ourselves and witnessing our becoming through this human experience. So I coach people. I train people to be coaches. I've got a group of coaches that meet every other week that we talk about what's showing up in their practice, and all of that's available to you if you're interested, as well as other YouTubes. I've got a channel with like 300 videos here, and all kinds of things. I also have a Substack platform there, and it's called As the Paradigm Shifts. So any place like that would be, if it's valuable to you to check it out. And as always, if this was valuable to you, give it a thumbs up. Share it with people you might think need to hear this or might find some value in it. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this, or if you agree or don't agree. Maybe you're a person that believes you got to kill that ego. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So that's pretty much it for now. All right, blessings to you. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.